What's up? What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? What's up? All right. Glad to be here with you guys today. I'm just going to switch my things around here because I am not TA Gaming today. Today, I am Apple Monster. Forgot to change that up before I went live. My bad. All right, we are good to go. So what's going on, guys? Apple Monster here. And I wanted to come by and talk about my thoughts on LG leaving the smartphone market and the fact that we just heard that there's a possibility that Tim Cook will be leaving Apple within the next 10 years. First of all, I wanted to touch upon the fact that Tim Cook is possibly going to be leaving Apple. If you guys don't know, he was on a podcast not that long ago, and he was asked what his future holds in Apple and if he planned to leave anytime soon. And he said, he does plan to leave soon. And given his age, he is getting up there. He is still a very young guy. He is very active. He's fit and everything. But, as everybody, we get to an age that we just want to kick back, relax, and, enjoy life. So I think, he's entitled to that. So, it doesn't mean it's going to happen today, tomorrow, next week. It just means that in the next few years, there could be a possibility that he is going to leave and hand his position to somebody else. Everybody's freaking out that he's going to be leaving soon and, who's going to be the next person in line, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, guys, it's not going to happen anytime, this year or next year. He did not say that. I mean, it could, but he did not say that, So let's chill out a little bit when it comes to that and see where it goes. Again, like I said, he's at an age where, he's thinking about retiring and enjoying his life. I'm sure he has a family that he wants to be with. So he's entitled to do what he wants to do, I mean, there's so much that I'm sure he wants to do in his life that he can't because he's doing these things at Apple, So, what's up, Hugo? I see Hugo Brito here on Facebook. What's up, man? Good to see you, man. Michael Pepper text saying, I'll gladly take over. See, I was talking to Miles about it a little while ago by text message, and I said the same thing, I said, hey, he asked me, he's like, who do you think is going to take over? And I'm like, me? Of course, I'm joking, but, Kelsey Roadshow, what's up? What's up? How you doing? Long time no talk. All right, I got to cover myself here because this blue is messing up my green screen. Jesus Christ. I didn't think that this light green blue would affect my green screen, but it is. So another thing is a lot of people are like freaking out that LG is going to quit doing products. And from what I'm hearing, it's not the case. I gotta say, I was there as well. You know, I was like, wow, LG is gonna be not making products anymore. But apparently, that's not the case. They're just going to be leaving the smartphone market. They're not going to make phones anymore. Personally, I mean, I've always been a Apple fan, um, and I, I mean, I always loved their phones back in the day, the flip phones that they made. There was one phone actually. I'm going to um, LG. I know that they're like I can't think of the phone that it was. Let's see, images. I'm gonna pull it up here if I can. Um, if I can find it. So just give me a second. I'm doing good, Kelsey. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I was gonna stream today, but then I was like, you know what? I want to talk about this. I know I did a stream yesterday, and I did a video yesterday. If you guys haven't seen that, go and check that out. Um, let's just see here. Okay, here it is. Here it is. I think this is it. Let me open this up and see. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, this is it right here. So let me. So Verizon actually made this phone. Let me just put it up here. I didn't even know Verizon made this phone. All right. And go back to StreamYard. Share screen. Boom. All right. So this is what I'm talking about here. The Ryzen LG VX whatever Voyager with the touchscreen. This is one that I think a lot of people owned. Can't really say back in the day, but yeah, back in early 2000s. I really like this phone because it was a touchscreen on in the front, and then you would open it up and it would have the keyboard, which I always used as keyboard. What was really cool about this phone, they had a lot of phones that looked similar to this, but what was really cool is when you got a phone call and let's say you opened it up to this, I don't want to, it would put it on speaker. And I thought that was really amazing how they did that. Um, so I had an LG Touch before I got the iPhone. Yeah, that's also a good phone. Michael Pepper says, without LG, iMessage wouldn't be a thing. Gesture navigation wouldn't exist, and smartphones might not be a thing. First, ultra wide camera, 1440p display, and so many things they introduced. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Miles Tech, what's up, man? How you doing? Great to have you on the stream. Um, no, I actually, absolutely agree with you. I'm watching on my wing. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Um, I mean, it kind of stinks that they won't be making good phones like that anymore. But I also think that this is a good idea for. Hang on one sec, guys. Going to exit the share screen. All right. I also think that this is a good idea for like their other markets. I think that this is a great idea to focus on their other products that they make. You know, like I said, it's not totally going away, but unfortunately, um, it's gotta do what you gotta do. Um, I mean, Miles, if you really want to talk, I can invite you on stream right now. If you're cool with that. I'm gonna be taking a break for the next few days. Um, because I think I've been pushing out a lot of content. So I want to work on some other stuff for next week. But if you're willing to come on now, I'll invite you, man. Oh, come on. Every single goddamn time. Jesus Christ. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. All day, nobody called me. Now that I'm streaming, somebody calls. Well, they can call somebody else in the family. I'm not answering right now. It's not that important, I don't think. So, if it is, they'll call back. All right, man. Yeah, I mean, I can do tomorrow. That's fine. I was actually supposed to have a guest come on, but dude, Hugo, cut the crap. All right, cut the crap. Jesus Christ. Hugo, oh, I was waiting for that. Yeah, well, I'm still waiting for it to happen on one of your streams. Next time I see you go live, I'm gonna call you just to see how it makes you feel. I can imagine Hugo gaming. Friggin' somebody calls him, just son of a. Shoot. But Michael, if you're still here, I want to know what you think of this. If you think that this is a cool idea, if you don't think it's a cool idea, um, drop your thoughts, man. I mean, like I said, I think that this will give them an opportunity to make other things. Um, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that they drop such a cool looking device, which the LG Wing is. I mean, I'm personally not a fan of it, but um, you know, I do think it's a cool phone. It's just not for me, you know. Um, whoa, 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 whoa! You just dropped the bomb there, buddy. You work at AT&T. Shoot, shoot. I think you shouldn't have said that on stream. because now a lot of people are gonna say, "What the heck? I want a free phone." So Michael is saying, "I think it's disappointing for the low end market, and I know some employees at Metro and other MVNOs that said their customers are disappointed." Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure they are because, you know, a lot of people have an LG phone. I mean, I have friends. I have a friend that had an LG phone before. He has a Samsung now, but he had an LG phone and he loved it. You know, and like I said before, I used to love their um basic phones, so I can't imagine what their smartphones were like, you know? Sorry, I've got a little bit distracted because the person who called me is now texting me and asking why I'm not answering the phone. So I, I'm gonna be getting off here pretty soon and calling them. Um, I mean, Miles, what is your thoughts? Michael, I would like to ask you, do you think that seeing how the customers react to this, that LG would try and make a comeback? Do you think that would, you know, funny thing is all the companies that made the phones I had as my first several flip phone or smartphones are pretty much gone now. Nokia, LG, HTC, ZTE. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Nokia was I love Nokia. I love Nokia. Um, I have so much respect for their devices. Honestly, um, I would love to have. You know what I used to do? Um, when I had the iPhone 4 back in that time, things were a little bit easier to get like downloaded to ringtones. So I would download the ringtone that Nokia had and the message tone that Nokia had, and I have those set as my tones. Now I'm still trying to do that because, you know, like I said, I love the Nokia tones and the, you know, and the music and stuff, but it's kind of more complicated. At least the way I've tried to do it. Um, but yeah, I love those. Really did. If BlackBerry can come back, why wouldn't LG? Yeah, true, true. So I mean, hey, maybe they'll decide to do it again in the future if the customers say, I loved your devices, would you come back? If people would talk about if enough people would talk like that and say, I'm I want you back, maybe they will. But again, I personally think, like I've been saying, I personally think it's a great idea to concentrate on other devices and make new devices um, that the company offers. So, and also, this gives other companies a chance to get customers and step up their games and stuff. The way I see it, anyway. Let's see. Let's see. If LG would, if LG could come back and do what OnePlus used to do, and offer good specs and performance at half the cost of others, they could destroy. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely agree there. Definitely agree there. Um. All right, guys. Well, if you guys have any questions, ask away. Um. If you guys have any more thoughts that you guys want to put in, put those in. But now I'm going to do a little bit of a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, leave them. And then in about 5 minutes, I'm going to get off here and get ready to go. Michael, I'm still laughing at the fact that you said you'll gladly take over for Apple. It's too funny, man. Michael says they have a lot of patents, and their other products are great. So the ecosystem they could expand and reach with their phones, TVs, speakers, earbuds, watch, etc., would be really good. Yeah. Um. Now I don't really know too much of why they're deciding to do it. I heard that they were losing money making these phones. I don't understand how, though. If you could explain that. I mean, I know you went live and you explained it a little bit yesterday, but I I wasn't there for the full thing, so I don't know too much about it. Um I've tried to watch a little bit of videos, but no one really explains why. I'm gonna look it up here real quick. So, all right. Let me quickly grab this up here. And StreamYard link? Yeah, sure. I will invite you. What time is it? All right. I got about 15 minutes before I have to get off. About 10 minutes. I want to get off here pretty soon to make some calls and get ready to go. So, all right, Michael, I just sent you the link. Nope. All right. All right, I'm going to share this really quickly here. Share screen. Screen 2. Boom. All right. So it says here LG has officially quit making phones today, according to an official press release. So we won't see new LG smartphones in 2021. This announcement isn't going to surprise anyone in the mobile space, as the move has been rumored for several weeks. This means two things. First, all right, we got Michael in the chat. Michael, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come on. All right. What's up, Michael?
Oh, not a lot. So the thing I think it's going to be really difficult is basically once any company leaves, it's really hard for them to come back because they have to convince developers to develop, OS updates and everything for their hardware after that.
Right.
And, how do you convince a company to develop hardware for you? Did I freeze up?
Mm, what is it?
Looks like it's frozen. Hold on.
You're good on my end.
That's weird.
You
Let
look
me
good. You
let
look
me
good on my end, man.
let me leave and I'll come back.
Okay. Not a problem. So all right, let's continue reading here. So this means two things. First, we won't see. God damn it! Every time, guys. I swear to God, you got Hugo. You are a bad luck charm because you were waiting there for the phone to ring again. My friend Hugo is a real bad luck charm. But you left and my phone started ringing again.
Yeah, that was weird. It like froze on my end. All I saw was like your face froze in place and me froze in place, and I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to join from my OnePlus device, and it was acting up.
Oh
Something
wow!
with Chrome was being weird, and it like kept telling me to re-grant access to the cameras and stuff. And I'm like, but I'm on already.
Right? Yeah, I know. So what's the deal here, man?
So they were losing like $4 billion every quarter for like the last 6 years.
Oh wow, really?
So they couldn't exactly afford to keep doing that and, stay in business. I mean, think about that. That's means they were losing the amount of money over that time that's nearly 1/10 of the value of Apple.
Yeah. Yep.
And LG is a huge company, but they can't afford to be losing money year over year. And I think part of it is what I kind of realized was when it came to like the
Hmm.
and velvet and the wing, a lot of the people that actually got them were people that were sent them for review. You didn't see a lot of people doing videos on them that bought them, and
Hmm.
I didn't see a lot of them in like the wild, which is okay because their other devices were doing pretty good. Like there were a lot of people that still really rocked with like the Stylo series and their K series and stuff. And I know I was talking to one person, and she works for one of the she works as like a mobile provider where they provide for all the different like Metro and would have been Boost before T-Mobile bought that out, and but
Hmm.
like the different prepaid. And she said just I think it was yesterday or today that she had 6 people come in wanting the Stylo 6 and like another 4 people getting like some of the K series phones and stuff
Oh,
like
wow.
that. And I don't know if it's like they're worried that they're not going to be able to get them, so they're just buying extras now,
Yep.
so that like if down the
Which
road their
means they're
current
looking.
device dies out, they can just swap the SIM card out and have a brand new one working. Or
Yep.
um, I had the Stylo 3. My wife had the Stylo 4. We sold both of them a while back, and I think right around then is where you could tell LG was starting to have issues because like the Stylo 5 and the Stylo 6 were basically the same device, exact same processor and everything, just renamed
Yeah.
and a slightly different color and slightly different design. Um, and the Stylo 6 in particular looked a lot like the Samsung like S8 S9 series with
Right.
the styling that they did and stuff. And I think that's where they kind of went wrong. They had a unique thing going on in the past, and then I think also the thing was other companies. You saw then Samsung started making their phones with the flush black back and looking the same. And so how do you compete when a company copies you? And also
Mm.
Samsung, makes phones from the A01 to the A71 to the S line and the Note line and the Fold and the Flip and all this stuff. And so they have a device from super, free at carriers, or $100 if you're not at a carrier, to $2,000 and almost every $50 and $100 price point in between. And then that's only in the US, and then in other countries they have the M line, which is a lot of the time that's similar to their A series. It's just named slightly different. And the other difference might be some of their A line has 5G, and so in these other countries they're using LTE processors and things like that. But how
Hmm.
I mean, to compete with that's difficult,
Yeah.
I think, for any Android manufacturer. But LG, I think if they would have released a version of the Stylo
Yeah.
as the Velvet, so like if they would have come out and had the LG Stylo and had the bumped up processor, the 765 like the Velvet has in it, and also just marketed that as like their mid to high tier device, sold that thing for like around the price of the Google Pixel, use their because the OS that's on this is pretty much stock now. Um, they could have done that, and then they could have done a device that basically was just that was the Velvet with the dual screen offering for the and had the stylus built in, because LG's phones from the V60, the Velvet, the Wing all support the um, Wacom stylus pen on them.
Mm.
And so, but if they would have done a model built in, they could have competed with the Note. We know that the Note is potentially going away. They would have had a good price point. They would have had a versatile device. You could buy it to use just as a Note, and then if you wanted the second screen, buy that separate. It's not forced on you to have 2 screens built in. And if they would have done that and dropped that, last year when they did the Velvet, I think it would have been a game changer. But just their pricing, when you're looking, $800, $1,000, and then you compare it to what you can buy, especially after the S20 FE came out and the Pixel did what they did. But LG, like their audio quality, their cameras, um, are really good. And I think the other kind of flop that they had is, um, they did the weird with the LG G8. Their 3D facial recognition is really good. They use the same kind of technology as Apple's using with Face ID, and it works in the dark and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fingerprint scanner on the back is awesome. But where they missed on that device was they did the weird, it was called like clear audio or crystal audio, and it vibrated behind the screen for the one side, and then, it still had the normal bottom speaker, but it was a dual speaker. So where that's different than stereo is essentially you have the same sound coming from both, where stereo separates,
Mm-hmm.
and it just wasn't very good. Even if I went and I did some of the tweaks, like you could go and adjust the EQ to what people suggested to make it sound better. It was okay. It was like you had to have your head positioned right in the middle, or you had this weird, like you could hear the separation, and it'd be like, um, if I had your live stream going on two different devices and one towards one side and one towards the other, you get that weird if you're not lined up perfectly.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and they just made some weird choices as far as including some things and experimenting with some things and pricing, because the G8, I remember I got that when we were on AT&T. It was like $800. Within like a week, it was $200 off, and within like 2 months later, you could get the thing for like $400.
Oh wow.
Now it's over a year old, but you can find it. I've seen it brand new on Amazon for like $180.
Oh shoot. That's not bad.
But it dropped pretty fast immediately, and then just kind of, and that was it. And then what kind of got me was they dropped the G8, and then it was only a few months later they did the G8X, which was the first model with the dual screen
Yep.
for the same price with the dual screen included as the G8 was. Now the thing with the G8X is they took away, it didn't have the notch up front, so they took away like 3D face recognition and
Mm-hmm.
some other stuff, but it had better sounding speakers. Um, Still had you still had the headphone jack. You had the option for the dual. The screen was slightly bigger, and it had the teardrop notch instead of the notch, and they
Yeah, I
just
think
made some weird pricing choices and and no marketing was really what killed them, because pricing, people will pay what they're going to pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um and but to not market your product, you just can't do that. It's like, how is anybody going to know you exist if you don't like even
Right.
product
Yeah,
placement, like
exactly.
the simplest thing that somebody can do. Like, I don't remember the last time I've really seen many. Oh, and this is kind of funny given the. Did you see the video that was done talking about? Um, oh shoot, he did the video on talking about how Microsoft was mocking Apple with the Surface 7 Pro compared to the
I
MacBook
think
Pro.
yeah, yeah.
So the funny thing is, I don't remember the last time I even really saw like a Microsoft Surface commercial. I mean, I don't watch a lot of regular TV, but even on like Hulu ads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I see iPhones all the time in movies in like the characters' hands, and you see MacBooks. And even
Yep.
when they try to do where they cover them up with the circle, you can tell it's a MacBook as soon as they
Oh
show the
yeah,
front of it
yeah.
or the
I
side of
was
it.
just I was just watching a series on Netflix. um, like last week, and you could clearly tell that it was a Mac, and but the software was like completely different, and I'm just like, what? So that's another thing that like I always wonder, like, is there something that like they can't show on movies and stuff because of that? Because I even see like when they're on phone calls, you could actually see that it's like that they're on their home screen. It's not like they're on their. It's not like they're on a phone call or anything. It's like at least make it somewhat believable that you're on the phone. You
So
know?
if they don't pay, if they're not paid, if Apple's not giving them the okay, either because Apple wouldn't care if they ever, if you're going to advertise for them for free, why would they care? But if
Right.
Apple
Right.
hasn't given you the permission, it's sort of a copyright thing because they have the rights to like
True.
the look of the. So usually, what you're seeing is they're just running some fake like created animation software that they've made and they're just running like a video on the screen and then they're not actually doing anything. But what I was going to say is I've never seen like an LG phone like in an ad placement, or I've never even seen a
Yep.
TV series that said brought to you by. You see all the time like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and stuff.
Hmm.
At the end it's
Yep.
Dell, Sony, Samsung, and Apple are like in everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, did you see the there's a whole series ready to come out on Hulu that's all about the Samsung um and like the S21 Ultra and the cameras. They're literally shot with and talking about like for a company to just pay to have a whole series done on.
Really? I didn't know that.
And I think the biggest advertising for Apple in the brilliant move, I see why they did the whole Apple TV Plus thing and
Yep.
making it free, when you buy a device and then making it the price they did per month
Yep.
is because a, a lot of those TV shows are just it's essentially advertising for Apple because, most of all the characters are using iPads and MacBooks and iPhones and stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so like my dad was telling me that so they got a Fire Stick TV to use, and that actually has Apple TV Plus on it,
Oh wow.
and their old Apple TV third gen um has the Apple TV Plus app on it. So Apple's all about like we're gonna advertise on our own devices, but we're also gonna make it available on other like Roku has support for their stuff and
Yeah. Right.
but I think for me, like I love my LG devices. It's just that if you only offer one or two updates and then you stop offering updates and the
Hmm.
device starts slowing down and the value of the device goes down, people are going to look to sell it as soon as they can, or they're going to return it, or they're just not going to buy it because they're going to see every year that happens, so they just won't buy. And then they stop releasing certain series of devices. They went to this weird thing where like there was the G and the V series, and the V was mainly focused on video. Like
Mm.
that was the huge push. And in the US, the G series only actually had two cameras. You had to go overseas to get the triple camera, and it was the V series that then had the triple camera. But then, like I remember with the G8, and then I think it was the V20 or the V30. No, my first when I had the G6, and then it was the V20 or whatever was out at the time.
Hmm.
The G6 in the US only had two cameras, but over in Europe it had three cameras.
Oops.
But the one that had three cameras didn't have wireless charging and had slower charging. The model in the US had wireless charging, faster charging, better, and but only had 2 cameras, but had some other things that were slightly like had the better processor. It was weird the choices they made. And then the V series was the same everywhere. So it was people were confused. And then it was basically got to the point where the G and the V series were pretty much the same phone. I feel like
Right.
they should have just focused on one device. Just release one device that's everything. Release, you know, part of the limitations is um, in Europe, in a lot of the countries, if a device can record video, it has to, there's a tax on it. So
Mhm.
like I remember it used to be DSLRs. They would set a time limit on the video recording you could do because otherwise they had to apply an extra tax when they would sell it. And rather than making a different version of the software for the US and a different version for, for like 2 different versions depending on what country you were um, in Europe, they just made one model and then set a limit on the quality and the time that you could record at one time, so they didn't have to categorize it as a camcorder and pay that extra. Well, LG kind of
Yeah.
had the same thing in mind, but they should have just done it and then just they could have just done it and then just pushed an update, basically put a all they would have had to do, that it would have just been a software change instead of hardware
Mm.
differences. They could have just had one version
Yeah.
of software that pushed to the US and the rest is in Europe and been fine. It's just some weird choices.
Yeah. I
And then
know.
as other companies were matching them as far as screen resolution and specs and stuff, LG was just kind of sitting back and producing the same phone year over year. And their software was getting slower and they weren't pushing updates. And there was some other concerns. And it's like they needed to do something different. I think they started doing it, but it was too late. Like, the Velvet and the Wing, and then talking about this rollable device. I think if they would have dropped the
I
Velvet and the Wing when like before the Z Fold 2 came out, when it was just
mhm.
the original Fold, because everybody saw with the original Fold some of the issues and there were complaints still even with the fixed version of it. But once
Yeah.
the Z Fold 2 came out, even though it was, twice the price, you're competing with that. And
Yeah. I would have loved to see the rollable device that LG had. I I really wish that they would have waited and rolled that out and see.
now, TCL has their announcement next week, the same day as
That's another thing.
what was the company? There's another company that's doing an announcement on the 14th as well.
Really?
Yep.
Oh wow. Matt, what's up, man?
So I think that it'll be interesting to see because TCL announced their phone. They talked about the devices and the specs and some stuff. Back during CES. So we're looking at 3 months ago.
Hmm.
But they didn't really talk about price. I mean, you can kind of speculate based on last year with the 10 series, but it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see, will those specs have changed? Because if you looked at like they were using like the Snapdragon, I think it was like the 460 on the low end up to like the 690 on the high end. Will
Hmm.
that those have changed since the access to the processors, there's this whole issue with the demand for silicon. Will that have changed? Will they have stepped up to maybe like the 720, the 732G, the 7, will they have stepped things up, or are they going to maintain that for price? And then their like email, the flyer thing that they sent out, the image on the front looked like a phone without a hole punch or anything on it, but none of the phones they talked about during that had that. They all had like the hole punch or the teardrop style thing going on.
Mm.
And TCL was one of the other companies that showed off a concept for like a rolling scrollable device and a folding device.
Mm.
So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see. uh, I think that OnePlus, especially, it's a little weird this year because like the 9 and the 9 Pro, if you get them, if you're on T-Mobile, you know, you get 5G and everything, and you get the IP68 rating. But if you buy them unlocked from OnePlus, you don't get the rating, even though they're the exact same device.
Yeah.
But AT&T only supports LTE. Verizon only supports the low band, not the millimeter wave stuff, which is no big deal for me because millimeter wave is still limited. But if you're talking about a device that you're looking to keep for the next 2 or 3 years, that's significant. Where last
Hmm.
year it was they had, you know, available through Verizon, and then, you know, and then T-Mobile had them available at one point, and um you could use them on AT&T. But AT&T just didn't certify it this year, and neither did Verizon, so that's why they're limited to what they are.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
but the Nord series being available like at Best Buy, I think is significant for them.
Oh
That's
wow.
like their,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's like
Definitely.
their A series or like their. So I think what they're doing is the regular OnePlus line is, since, you know, they're no longer competing at half the price or a third of the price of what they, you know, like they used to, that the 9 and 9 Pro are, you know, their flagship level, and the Nord is kind of their way of trying to compete in like the A line and the lower, and like Motorola and some of the other companies.
Hmm.
And from what I've seen, they perform really well, and the cameras seem really good and stuff like that, and like the 5G performance and the stuff that they offer is pretty on par.
You're right. Right. I go. Matt saying Michael has an LG wing. Of course. Yep.
One of my favorite devices of all last year.
That thing
Um,
looks pretty cool. Flip it open
Now,
again.
so
Yeah. And the way that just damn man.
and then you can, oh, of course I'm trying to, what the heck? Trying to do this one hand. It's there we go. So you can still get to, you know, all your apps in there,
That's pretty
not just the
cool.
ones that are on that main screen. You can drag apps to there. You can rearrange. You can arrange them around. You can have like dual apps down at the bottom. So like, um, you know, if I have, let's say, Twitter and Chrome open, if I want to, let's see, I'm trying to remember how to do that. There's a way to,
Miles Tech just says I just added 5G to my AT&T. Wow, man. That's
anyways, there's a way you can set dual apps. So when you click on it, they automatically, you know, one will launch on the big screen, the other one will launch at the bottom. One of my favorite things is like if I'm in Twitter and I'm going to send Apple Monster a DM and I click down here, oops, of course, because that's one of the complaints with Android in general is that like LG, you have to use the LG keyboard but anyways, so I can, you know, type down here and have it read out up here. Now, the issue is LG, or basically anything that's not a standard, you know, candy bar style phone.
mm-hmm.
So if it's, you know, dual screen, or if it's dual screen like this, the manufacturers have to make their own keyboard to support going over to the second screen, where because Android just doesn't support it natively, and like Gboard hasn't made their app work across it. So I have to, you know, if I'm using it normal mode, I prefer Gboard. Their autocorrect is better. I like the whole clipboard thing for copying and pasting and like the GIF search and all that stuff.
Mm.
But then I have to switch that off to LG's keyboard if I'm going to use it, you know, in that mode. And LG's keyboard is okay. It's just their predictive text isn't that great. A lot of times, like if I'm typing, I'm or it says an it is, or any sort of, what do they call those words? I can't think right now. Anyways, um, anything with an apostrophe in it, most keyboards, auto will recognize that and automatically add it, and LG's just doesn't
Yep.
really do that. Same thing with like capitalizing after a period a lot of times, and certain functions are weird. Um,
Oh wow.
but
Matt's asking how's the battery life on it.
pretty. I mean, it's depends on where you're doing, but it's always been pretty decent to me. And it supports 25-watt charging, and it's also has wireless charging, which is kind of neat.
Oh, that's neat.
Now, one of my favorite things to do is let's say I have Twitter open here, and I want to have Messenger open. So if I go into split mode, let's say I'm messaging with my wife and I'm talking to Apple Monster. If I have the keyboard open, just being able to, type here, tap over here, type here is neat.
Oh
But
wow.
it gets better than that. I'm going to close the keyboard. I'm going to go here and I'm going to tap this little icon that looks like a trackpad. And there a mouse comes up. So now I can tap here. Keyboard comes up, type away. When I'm done, I can just move the mouse over, tap here. Keyboard comes up, type away. I like, some of the software choices they made is it's really handy. And then one of the complaints people had is changing volume because the volume keys are like up here.
Oh.
But if I am, okay, let me close that out. If I am watching YouTube, let's say I'm watching us here and I want to turn the volume up, notice how it pops up I can adjust the volume here
Oh, that's cool.
and the brightness, play, pause, skip. And then I can just close that out if I don't want it there. If I'm going to go into Twitter and type a message or whatever. And essentially, I've had times where I've had three different. I've had times where I had Twitter open on one side, Facebook Messenger open on the other side, and Telegram open on the bottom, and I can just switch between the ones and have the keyboard pop up to chat and not have to
Hmm.
close out any of them. But usually I like having two apps open side by side and doing the keyboard and just clicking back and forth for multitasking like that. Or another example might be, let me see here.
I do this and
Should have let's see. Do I have
so very quickly here, Matt just wants to know would would you be interested in buying? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I before wasn't too fond of these new new foldables and all this other stuff. But I mean, if it was a phone like that, yeah, I would absolutely buy it. As long as it's not like that thick. Um, how how is that phone like in thickness? Is it like really thick, like the foldables, or?
um by perspective, um let's see if I can do this. This is gonna be a weird angle, but you're gonna see my ceiling for a second. So it's only maybe, is it even that much thicker? Nope. So if you take an iPhone 12 Pro Max with the Apple case on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have something, I mean, this is hard to tell by perspective, but it's only like that's not even half an inch. That's maybe like 3/8 of an inch thick. If I set that on top of it, that's thicker than what the. It's only slightly thicker than like if you take a Note 20 Ultra and you put a clear case on it that has where it has the lip to kind of protect the corners.
Mm-hmm.
If I set them, if I set them both face down on a table, the
Yep.
backs of them kind of line up with each other.
Oh wow.
So it's not really that thick. It's kind of heavy, but it's essentially only maybe. I mean, it's that's the
It,
that's the screen thickness. So it's not even that much thicker. Like it's maybe half the thickness of the screen, thicker than most other normal phones. So it's not really. It's got some heft to it, but to have the 4,500 milliamp hour battery in it, you got to have some weight. And then you keep in mind, I
right.
have a
Right.
case on it, so that's that
Matt
adds to
says
the
it's very
thickness.
multitasking oriented. Yeah, and that is a good point. Um, for multitasking, that's really good. I mean, I know a lot of people have been saying like, you know, um, the iPhones don't have that capability as of yet, anyway. But if they were to enter
Then you
the
have
full,
full, you have full screen.
oh wow,
Because it's got the pop up camera. So like if I'm
show that again real quick. Oh wow, that looks nice.
reminds me of kind of almost like the bezels would be about kind of reminds me of a little bit thinner than the Note 10 Plus. That
That's
had
the case when it protects the back part, though.
yeah, but it protects the corners. I mean, you'd have to drop it at a really weird angle, and if you dropped it where it's going to hit the front corners, it's
Mm,
probably going to hit flat on the front. And most phones, the screen breaks by hitting right on the corner, so the corner is still pretty well protected the way this one's designed.
yeah, yeah,
Now, if it's open, you're probably in trouble if you drop it like you know right on one of the corners.
right.
But as far as cameras go, um,
Do you like the camera on that?
you have like the gimbal mode and time lapse and slow mo and dual recording, which is kind of neat.
Oh wow,
So look, there's
that's
me,
interesting.
and there's this live stream
Oh wow, that's awesome.
because it's using the pop-up camera here and then the back cameras at the same time. And then
Matt says I want one.
and then
That's
oh, that's
awesome.
funny. I forgot I had YouTube open, so it was multitasking over the camera. And then, just for the front camera, you have the pop-up here. And if I drop it, the camera closed, and it popped up this warning: the front camera is closed to protect the lens. And then you hit OK, and it pops right back open. So
Shoot,
cameras are pretty good.
that looks really nice. Really nice.
I mean, it's a little blur. I mean, it missed the hair a little bit, but there's a front portrait mode.
Matt, I didn't know Samsung Galaxy made food. I'm sorry, man, but I had to tease you.
The 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 Galaxy
My
S20,
friend Caitlin
the
says
Galaxy
it's cool.
S20 Chrome Ultra. No.
What kind of phone is that? It's called the LG Wing.
And the under
Unfortunately,
display fingerprint scanner is pretty good. I mean, it's not bad. I wish they would have put a fingerprint reader on the back. I feel like
yeah.
that would have been a good, or even like in the side, but in the
What?
side would be weird. So one thing I did notice though is, um, if I flip it open while it's locked, if you're, being right-handed, the best is to like put your left thumb as one of the to unlock it. If you
Oh,
just use your right thumb, then you got to reach up and do a weird. If you're left-handed, that's the other thing. If you're left-handed, to open it, you have to switch to your right hand because it only goes the one direction. And then to close
very,
it, I can kind of close one-handed. It's a little tricky, but
very, very funny, Matt. I'm sorry. He's just making jokes now. Samsung food's out of this world. You should try it.
well, if you talk to some of the Samsung knights, Samsung food would be Apple.
Welcome to the new. Yep, that's for sure. Matt says in display fingerprint. Apple could never. Hey. Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Never say never. Because as soon as you say never, you're going to get proven wrong. And that's for everything in life.
I think, I had the original Fold, and for me, I feel like the Wing is a better multitasking device. And I feel like the way that, since it's can be
and
used like a normal candy bar phone,
mm-hmm,
it's a better phone when it's just being used as a phone. And then when you want to multitask,
yeah.
you can have two apps split screen and then one in a third, one in that smaller mode, or you can just use it split screen like you would on a normal. You have that extra display for when you're doing a keyboard so it doesn't pop up. Because, with a normal, you can take me off the big screen. That's a little weird.
Oh, sorry.
I'm like sitting here.
My bad.
So, like, normal, if I split screen, right? If I, how do I even split screen on this thing? Okay. If I split screen, on a normal phone, right? I got,
Yep.
Twitter and Chrome
Put you
open
back up.
there.
Oh,
If I
wow.
go to type in Twitter, when I click on the keyboard, it pushes everything way up.
Oh, that's
If I
nice.
go to search and in Google, it pushes everything right up. And then if I was gonna tweet something out, for example,
Yep.
then it covers up Chrome. So with having the extra screen, since the keyboard can go over there, if I have them side by side and the keyboard pops up here, I'm not covering up anything. So like if I was reading something in Chrome, I'm going to try to type that out in the tweet. I'd have to be
Mm-hmm.
going back and forth, closing the keyboard, looking at Chrome, typing up the tweet, where with the Wing, it can kind of go back and forth. And then like, you have the weird with the Velvet, they're weird. So what I don't really understand is the internals on the Velvet and the Wing are identical as far as like processor and RAM and everything. But just the short time between the Velvet and the Wing, the how speedy the software feels on the
Yeah.
Wing is so much more. And battery life is better, and I partially because it's all integrated into one thing. Where with like the Velvet, it's actually using um, the ultra wideband from 5G. It's using that in short range to send the video over to the second screen.
That, that's actually a really neat device, to be honest.
So that uses more battery life, because it's not actually wired connected. It's connected, wirelessly. And then for it to take this long to load up the apps
Oh, gosh.
when it first starts up,
No. Okay,
it's
I take
weird.
I take back what I was saying. That's not a cool device. That's trash.
But once it's up, but once it's up and running, it's everything is pretty smooth. Um, you know, apps open pretty quick
Oh wow, yeah.
for the most part. And then if I want Twitter over there, and I want it back over there, just a three-finger gesture.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's actually pretty
the
cool.
side by side thing. The same thing with the keyboard as far as if I want to type something on Google and I rotate, come on. on my you have a large keyboard down here, and you can type up here.
Yeah,
Um,
see, that would be pretty cool.
some
I
of the
want Apple to make
games,
something like that.
some of the games you can use one screen as a controller and have a game on the other. One of the other things I really like to do is like if I have YouTube open, and let's say I'm watching YouTube. Um, Make sure I don't have volume up, and I'm watching YouTube. Just being able to kind of prop it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what I wish they would do, um, I can also it tints the screen. That's what I don't like though. So when you hit the chat, how it tints the screen,
Oh, yep.
because otherwise it's really nice because I basically have the chat open and the keyboard at the bottom,
Right.
and respond to be typing in the comments in a live stream. And I like that. Um, but usually what I do is I have YouTube playing on one screen,
Hmm.
and then I open Chrome on the other screen, and I go into the same video and I open just the chat in Chrome and have that down at the bottom, so I can still see the video playing just fine in the on the other screen. You know what really annoys me though with Android?
What?
People think comments are great, but having just started this phone up, and mind you, none of my other devices have notifications, on them. They're all cleared. Look at all
Yeah.
these that are now coming through. Like, because it
Oh, I
doesn't
know.
sync up. It should.
See that?
I'm signed into
That's what I
Google. I'm
noticed.
signed into,
Yeah, that's what I noticed with the the cheap Android that I have. I mean, I know it's different, but like in that aspect, it's the same. Like I went to go try it out to answer somebody's question the other day, and I got all my notifications from like the past week, and I couldn't do anything on the phone until all the notifications stopped coming in, and it that took me a good 10 minutes.
and that's
you know.
confusing to me because like the other day, I think it was when you went live, I got a notification on my Android device, and I cleared it, and it also on my iPhone. I cleared the YouTube notification on my Android device, and it
Hmm.
went away on my iPhone, but my other Android device, the notification was still there.
Oh, wow.
So like Apple's like, oh yeah, we'll just grab the status of a notification. We'll see that he cleared it from YouTube, and we'll clear it out of ours. But my other Android device, I had to go clear it. Makes no sense to me. And Samsung phone and Samsung tablet, I feel like because they're both signed into a Samsung account, at least then notifications should sync up and clear. Nope.
Jesus.
It's like so I got to go
Oh,
through all these
man.
devices and clear them. But if a message or a notification comes up on my iPhone that would also come up on my computer, and I answer a message or I do, respond to an app, like even in Telegram or Twitter on my Mac, it
Yep.
clears on the iPhone.
Oh, wow.
So it's weird to me that like some of those choices don't make any sense.
Right, right. So before we end here, I wanted to ask you. I did talk about. I'm not sure if you were here at the time or not, but um, I'm not sure if you heard about the fact that Tim Cook said that he was planning to retire
Mm-hmm.
in the next 10 years, and people kind of went all haywire with that, thinking it was going to be soon. And what's your thoughts? What do you got to say about it?
Well, I mean, if you consider that Steve Jobs quite literally, I mean, he went away and then he came back and, then he died
Yep.
because he spent his whole life focused on that and didn't focus on his health and didn't want to get a transplant because he thought it would affect, um, you know, and Tim Cook is getting older, And I don't know about. I mean, I know that he was the first openly gay CEO in a Fortune 500 company.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, if he's, if he has a significant other or anything, and if they've, thought about adopting, or, I don't know any, personal, if he
First,
wants
yeah.
to get into having a family or anything
See,
like that. He's
and
getting old enough that, like, so that, the average lifespan in the US is about 78 years old.
mm-hmm.
So if he retired from there when he's 60, he could adopt a newborn and live to see that newborn become an adult if he
Right.
only lived the average lifespan. So there's things like that like, and he's
Yeah.
been there for a
Yeah.
long time, a
How old is
long,
he
long
right
time.
now? I
Tim
wonder.
Cook,
I'm gonna look it up right now. Um.
I'd ask Google, but I don't want to set people's devices off.
So he's 60 right now.
Yeah, so
He was
like
born
I'm saying is
November 1st, 1960.
if he if he stayed for another 5-10 years, he's getting close to retirement age.
Yep. Yeah, Matt says he's 60. So yeah, I mean, give it another 2, 3 years, whatever. I mean, even if he wants to do it further down the long line when he's like 64, 65, whatever, you know, um, he's getting up there. And like I said earlier, like everybody else, he has the right to, slow down and enjoy everything else that life has to offer, you know, because just like Steve Jobs, Tim Cook put a lot of work and a lot of effort into Apple, you know.
He's been at Apple for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
So if you think about it, if he worked till he's like if he worked till he was 62, which used to be retirement age, he'd have his 25 years in.
Yep.
So now the thing is, I expect that it's going to be at least maybe 5 years, because like we aren't seeing anybody being brought in to to fulfill that position. Like, we saw Tim Cook being brought in and kind of trained before when Steve Jobs was getting sick.
Yep.
Because, well, they kind of had to, because it was more like he's going to die, and if we don't do something, we don't have a choice. Where with Tim Cook, it's kind of like, as far as we know, his health is still pretty good, and it's kind of up to when he decides. But still,
Right.
um, and with, you had Phil Schiller leave, and you had Johnny Ives gone a while back, but he's doing some, they said he does some consulting stuff. But like, you're
Hmm.
seeing all these names of people that have been there for a long time leaving. And like, what was the when there was the interview with a couple of the executives from Apple, it was like, I don't even recognize these names anymore.
I know. I know.
So it'll be interesting to
It's
see
so
what
many people
happens.
like going in and out, and it's just like, wow.
And it's funny because finding out that we're not even really, in some aspects we are, but in some areas we're not even really post Steve Jobs yet.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of this stuff is still designs and still concepts of things, and still like patents from things that was being worked on while he was there, and that he signed off on. Now there's a
Yep.
lot of things that weren't, like, for example, the Apple Pencil never would have existed under him, most
Mm.
likely.
What, what
I believe that we would have had.
What do you think about the iPhone 10, like that design? Do you think that was
Oh,
him, or do
for
you think
sure, 100%.
really?
Apple was working on the Face ID technology for like the last, we're at about at least 15 years now.
Oh, wow.
They were working on that for a long time. Their goal was to match or beat out the accuracy that the federal government uses with their facial recognition, and they did it.
Yep.
You know, the U.S. government's like the FBI's facial recognition software that they were using only guaranteed a 95% accuracy. So
Mm.
Apple said we need to hit 95.1 or 96.
Yeah.
And when Face ID, when they said we're 99.9%, they was like, okay, it's good enough. Now we've blown past our goal.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah.
guarantee
Yeah.
100% because you can have people that look, you have identical twins that look so much alike that it would be impossible to not pick up on. I think the next thing though is combining facial and vocal recognition.
Okay. I like that.
I'd like to see an
I like that.
iMac that you sit down at that uses the dual axis Face ID like from an iPad,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you just are like, "Hey Mac," or whatever and it opens and it recognizes your voice, scans your face, and lets you in.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
And
I see that. That
the
would
thing
be.
is, it wouldn't even necessarily, and like you say that, but then I'm sitting there and it goes, wait a minute, that's not Apple Monster, that's Michael. So then it lets me in instead of you because it's using both.
Yep. Yep.
But what if I lose my voice? So you trigger the voice and then it picks up and it goes, that's not Apple Monster, that's Michael. Like, and still works. Or I can sit down and tap something, to wake it up to do. I think
Yeah.
that's a point we're gonna, especially because this is kind of funny, but there were so many times that when I worked at the college that I went to, I would clean a one of the things I did was clean their computers. There were
Hmm.
so many times when I leaned behind them to hit the power button when I was done, and my facial hair got caught in the CD drive with the little like the little like at the edge of the CD drive that had to clean the disc, the little fuzzies that were in there would
Hmm.
catch my facial hair and like pull on it and it would hurt. So to not have to lean behind the thing is just, I still don't understand why they didn't put the USB ports on the edge. Like they're always on the back. So you have to
Right.
move the thing or get behind it or walk behind it or lean or reach or um
Yeah.
now I know that
So
there's several companies that now make what if you're deaf and don't speak? Well, my point was that the vocal would just be to wake it up. It would just be
mm,
another, and then Face ID would be um and current MacBooks have fingerprint scanner, but what if you have a hard time with your hand movements holding still long enough to read? So I think if you combined touch, face, and voice, you'd hit pretty much everything.
true. True.
I mean, you'd have the very rare cases where somebody like was in a really bad accident and you know mm, their voice got messed up and you know hands and
Yeah.
face and stuff. But I don't know. I think
I
if
don't know.
I think
I
if
mean,
if you're putting it to
we.
the point where voice, face, and fingerprint can't get you logged in,
Yeah.
you probably have somebody helping you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's
That's
because I know I went to
too
school with
true.
a few people. I went to school with somebody who was in a horrible accident and burnt in fire and had to have somebody help them,
Yep.
their typing and all that stuff. And it's like, um, but that's where I don't know the whole argument that Face ID is bad because of the mask thing.
Yep.
Yeah, but a lot of people are using their devices at home or in an
Right.
office or a place where they can have their mask off. And it's just so much more convenient than having to like reach for a fingerprint
reader, and it's like instant because you're already looking at the device for it to scan your face for like password recognition and authentication, biometric, asking Siri what your password is, and it pops up to that into the settings, goes right to it, scans your face, goes to the setting, goes to the password for the particular website or app or whatever.
Right.
There's no real thought to it. You just ask it, and instead of having to search through settings to go to passwords or having to hit with your finger. I even argue for driving, because there's been times that like my wife needed, like when she got her new phone and she needed to look up a password and it was on my device. She just held it in front of me so it picked up my face. I didn't have to look at it.
I'm laughing because I've done that to my mom just to access her phone, and like,
But like,
she'll ask me to do something on her phone, and I'm just like, well,
but
if
I have to do this, my hands off. Oops. If I have to, reach over and do this, my hand has to be off the steering wheel, or I mean, it does have Face Unlock, but I have to look at it.
Right,
Face ID,
right.
you kind of have to look at it, but if you like half look at it, it will,
yeah.
Or if it's within the peripheral, so I'm not staring at it, so it's not dangerous.
True.
The other thing, though, when people complain about how Face ID doesn't go right to the home screen, I see that as an advantage because I can't tell you how many times my wife got annoyed when she was using her, I think her OnePlus 7T, and it was on the car holder, and the vibrations would make it think that you were doing like the raise to wake or tap, or wanted it to wake up, so it'd wake up the screen and it'd see her face and go to the lock screen.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you had the last thing you had was like a texting app open, you throw it in your phone, you get in the car, you put it on there, and like a cop comes by and they see like a text message app up on the phone because it automatically unlocked it. And it's just sitting there. You're like, I swear I wasn't,
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, man,
things like that are.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm gonna have to end the stream here. It was great talking to you. Thank you for joining. Last minute. This was a very last minute stream that I decided to do, just to talk about my feelings on the whole LG thing and Tim Cook retiring. I mean, a lot of people were saying especially with the Tim Cook thing, it was like so out of hand that I kept seeing everywhere. Oh, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna take over? This, that, the other. And I'm just like, guys, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. He did not say, "Oh, I'm retiring in like a few months from now." He's just saying that he's preparing to retire within the next few years. Again, like I said, it's completely understandable where he's coming from. He's just, again, like I said, he's at an age that he wants to enjoy the rest of his life. So
somebody asked a question, he answered, and then people freaked out. It happens. It's the same thing that happened when he was being interviewed and asked about why there's no calculator on the iPad, and his answer, and people freaked out.
I know.
Really?
Yeah, I heard about that. Oh my God. Well, Michael, thank you again for joining me. Always a pleasure to have you on the stream. Thank you to the people who have come and enjoyed it with us, communicated with us. Really nice having you guys. I have now, Michael, I'm not sure if you saw that, but I have now paid for StreamYard, so we just streamed on my Facebook page and onto YouTube. So I'll be doing a lot more streams like that in the future. So thank you guys for coming on. If you guys are not on my Facebook page, make sure you guys find me and join me over there. That'll be really awesome. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.